There's a lot that we need to learn. One of the first things I figured out as a chaplain when I got to Iraq, and it would be a year ago today that I arrived in Kirkuk. It wasn't very long. I got a little bit of sleep when I got there. They allowed me to go and catch up, because you're kind of jet lagged, and you're 8,000 miles away in all these different time zones. But right away that next day, or maybe it was night here, I'm not sure, people started coming in. And one of the first questions we asked them as a chaplain was, how long has it been since you've slept? And you'd be amazed at how thought-provoking that question was. How long has it been since you've slept? Oh. Well, if it's been a while, get some downtime, come back and talk to me then. Most of the time, they go and they would get some good food in them, get a shower, get a change of clothes, get a couple hours of downtime, and they'd come back, and all those issues that were just really burning right in the forefront of their mind, all of a sudden they weren't so big anymore. They'd gotten down into perspective. Even in a war zone, rest is a necessity. And we've built our culture around this. We have one day that is a day of rest. What day is that? What day is it? Saturday, Sunday? Okay, you're lying to me. Now you're here, so maybe it's a day of rest for you. What about up at the Mall of America today? There's about 15,000 employees, give or take, that are working. What about the hospitals, the airports, police department? They're working. So what do we do when Jesus is here and he heals this man on the Sabbath? The issue here is really not what you think the issue is. They're trying to trip him up. If you go back into the Jewish law, the Sabbath rules are located in a book called the Mishnah. And there really was nothing that would have prevented Jesus from doing this act of kindness on the Sabbath. There was no law that would have prevented this man who was healed from rolling up his bedroll, his blanket, tucking it under his arm, and moving it to another place. There was no law that would prevent that. So they're really trying to trip him up here. But it's a good trip. We get tripped on this all the time. We start to think to ourselves, well, I've been to church, therefore I've had my Sabbath, and now I can go back to work. See, we've taken the day that is the Sabbath and we've condensed it into an hour. And we've taken that hour and we've sprinkled it throughout the week. And for some of us it bounces, and for some of us we don't even get it at all. And that's a concern. If you go back into the 23rd chapter of the book of Exodus, right there in verse 10, it says, "For 6 years you shall sow your land and gather in its yield, but the 7th year you shall let it rest and lie fallow, that the poor of your people may eat, and what they leave the beasts of the field may eat. You shall do likewise with your vineyard and with your olive orchard. 6 days you shall do your work, but on the 7th day you shall rest, that your ox and your donkey may have rest, and the son of your servant woman and the alien may be refreshed." How many of us here today need to be refreshed? Maybe in our lives, our hearts, our mindset. How many of us need to be refreshed, filled with that cool, peaceful water of the Spirit that allows us to sit back and, this is the time of year for going, isn't it? You go out into your garden and you watch your flowers. There's flowers coming up in my yard, finally. You look back and you go, now this is nice. You see, we don't do that. And we don't do that to our detriment. God patterns this for us. We talked to the kids this morning in Genesis when He creates on that 7th day. Do you think God was tired? The creator of the universe? Do you think the creator of the universe, almighty, all-powerful God, actually needed to rest? Probably not. But He takes back time to kick back and to look and observe the creation that He's made. I say, yeah, this is good. This is good. The first question is, if Almighty God would take time to enjoy, why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we? Well, there's a bunch of good reasons, I suppose. Most of them, I'm suspecting, would have to do with something that Proverbs talks about. Again, Proverbs 23, verses 4 and 5. We talked about this in Financial Peace University last week. It says here, do not toil to acquire wealth. Be discerning enough to desist. When your eyes light on it, it is gone, for suddenly it sprouts wings, flying like an eagle toward heaven. How many of us give up a Sabbath to do just this? To toil to acquire wealth. I want to get ahead. I want to pay my credit cards off. Maybe my mortgage is behind. Maybe my retirement isn't looking so rosy. And so you know what? It's only one day. I'll take a second job. I'll work a few extra hours. No big deal, right? It is a big deal. It's a big deal because at that point we as Christians have sold out.